All right, the Texans have made it clear that they believe it was all Bobby. It was all Bobby Slowik's fault for the offense. A lot of guys hanging around, but it was all Bobby's fault. Let's play the blame game here on SNL. Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. Subscribe on all podcast platforms. We're going to play the blame game, not so that we can remember the old, but a lot of the old is remaining. And I think acknowledging what went wrong last year, if it's as simple as Bobby, great, then you're in good shape. You should be a well-oiled machine next year. We know better than that. Let's play the blame game here and talk about what went wrong with the Texans offense last season.
Yeah, just the amount of consideration to keeping people that were a part of 2024's offense when it didn't look good. Maybe they feel like they removed the infection, the disease of the offense with the firing of Bobby Slowik and Chris Strausser.
Damn it, Bobby.
Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. But I have four things. I'm going to power rank the blame, at least as I see it. And you can discuss, chime in. Let me know what you think. Super chats go to the front. The blame game, and I have four things to blame, ranked from 4 to 1, that I think were the reason why the Texans offense struggled last year. And we'll start with number 4. I blame CJ Stroud, and this is based on high standards. I think over the course of C.J. Stroud's career, over the course of a lot of quarterbacks' careers, they're going to be called upon and they're going to have higher expectations to elevate their play and overcome certain shortcomings, whether it's for blocking, whether it's weapons being out. Over the course of their careers, they're going to have to do it. Do I think C.J. Stroud could have taken this team on a magical run? I don't. But I do think based on the standards that I've set for C.J. Stroud, I think based on the standards he's set for himself and based on the fact that he's the most important piece of the offense, and there's going to be times, and there has been times, quite frankly, where he has overcome a lot just based on the sheer expectations. I'm going to put C.J. Stroud at number 4.
Well, and C.J. Stroud never ran from any blame over the course of the season. I mean, he was quick to say, I wasn't good enough here, I wasn't good enough there, I held on to the ball too long. At the end of the season, hey, I thought this was going to be a little bit easier, and I'm paraphrasing, than it actually was. C.J. Stroud never ran from his fault in the offense not being where it was. So I think that's an important element too. It's not like we're revealing to C.J. Stroud that he was a part of no, he said as much a few different times throughout the course of the season. And one of the things to me that led to some of the offense not quite doing what it needed to do was something that he talked about a bunch in the offseason, during the season, even the latter part of the season. He just didn't do as much, which was just take what was there. Take what was there. Now, I know at the end of the season, he said, there weren't any answers to what the defense threw at me. But throughout the course of the season, there was not as much take what was there as I thought there was going to be from C.J. Stroud in 2024.
Yeah, so that's number 4. Number 3, skill position depth. And we can look at that a number of ways. Yes, there were injuries, but I don't think the guys after the guys that were injured were really equipped to be able to really fill the void. Like when Joe Mixon was out, it was a lost cause. Whenever your receiver started getting hurt, it was a lost cause. Chances are in football, someone's going to get hurt. That's very, very important. Multiple guys are going to get hurt. That's very, very important. I think when we look at the lack of skill position depth, I think that was a major problem. And I think that's something that they're really going to have to address. And the good news is I think that's something they can address. But that would be number 3, just the lack of skill position depth on this team, especially once we start going Nico down and we start factoring in injuries and we go Joe Mixon and then down from that. So skill position depth would be number 3.
Yeah, I would also say that the depth in the wide receiver room wasn't as good as we thought it was going to be. Like if you considered Nico and Stefon as the top 2, Tank as the top depth guy, like Tank wasn't as good before his injury as we thought he was going to be. Certainly the depth at tight end wasn't nearly as good. They didn't really have depth at the offensive line position or running back. So yeah, the depth was not nearly anywhere near as good as it needed to be, but certainly it was less good than we thought it was going to be as well too.
Number 2, Bobby Slowik. Bobby Slowik's not going to be number one. We're going to go number 2, Bobby Slowik.
Damn it, Bobby.
So Bobby Slowik, I think he can fix a lot of these things. A good offensive coordinator can fix a lot of these things. I don't think Bobby Slowik possessed the personality to deal with pressure situations. I don't think that Bobby Slowik possessed the personality to be able to deal with leading a team. And I think are leading an offense, and I think it kind of caught up. I think schematically they were clearly behind. So Bobby Slowik falls at number 2. He's not number 1.
Bobby, man, it really does feel like he took a copy of a Shanahan playbook, photocopied it, put some tape over Shanahan's name, and then handed it out and just tried to do that. Like, there was not a lot of adjusting or changing from year to year. What he did adjust and change didn't work. The emphasis from what worked in 2023 didn't get carried over to 2024. Like, he was bad all around in a variety of different ways. Didn't have the answers for problems that he created and didn't have the answers for problems that he didn't create, which that's part of your job as the offensive or defensive coordinators. You've got to solve problems and find the answers to questions no matter how they pop up. And he didn't have it. He didn't have it. It wasn't there. Schematically, blocking scheme, routes, creation of the offense, evolution of the offense wasn't there. Like, he didn't have it.
Yeah, he didn't have it. Number 1, though, and you can put a number of people here, evaluation development in all caps, every area by all caps, all parties involved. Nobody is absolved from this. This is not something you can just blame on Caserio. This is not something you can just blame on D'Amico. This is not something you can just blame on Bobby. This is something that the players aren't immune to. But every area of the offensive line, from selecting the guys to paying the guys pre-D'Amico, to paying the guys post-D'Amico, to drafting the guys pre-D'Amico, to drafting the guys post-D'Amico. Everything about this offensive line process was effed up. And nobody, D'Amico or Caserio, is free from that. So that is the number 1 thing. And the development as well goes into the coaching, which you can throw Bobby and Chris Strausser in there as well. Or maybe these guys weren't capable of being coached. Anyone who had anything to do with the offensive line deserves to have the highest amount of blame for what went wrong with this offense.
Do you have your phone with you? Do you have your phone near you?
I do.
Can you pull up a stopwatch and give me 60 seconds? See if I can name every single person and party involved with the offensive line. You just tell me to go.
So you're going to go every single party involved. All right, ready, set, go.
Nick Caserio's draft pick decisions, both picking the players and who he didn't pick. Nick Caserio signing Titus Howard to the contract extension. Nick Caserio signing Shaq Mason to the contract extension. Nick Caserio not adding good depth behind guys that he was ready to put in there. D'Amico Ryans for not having a true competition in camp. D'Amico Ryans for not swapping guys in and out of the lineup. Laramie Tunsil's attitude. Titus Howard, all of it. Shaq Mason, all of it. Juice Scruggs' injury proneness keeping him from getting any sort of consistency. Jarrett Patterson not somehow, some way winning the competition. Kendrick Green for not being good when he gets in there. Blake Fisher for not being ready day 1 to put in there, I guess. Kenyon Green, all of it. Chris Strausser, offensive line coach. Cole Popovich, assistant offensive line coach. Bobby Slowik, creation of the offense, blocking scheme. Dalton Schultz, it's your fault too. George Fant for going to the Seahawks.
I would say you covered most of it. George
Fant for going to the Seahawks.
Yeah, that sucked. And that goes back to that. So yeah, I would say the offensive line development, everything, number 1. That's something they got to figure out. I do think you can coach that up. I think naturally you can coach that up. But are these guys system fits? Do they fit into what you're trying to do? Do they have the right mindset? Like they've really got to figure that out, because my hope here, and this is my fear when we talk about Popovich, and I F with you a lot, and I say, man, I don't want to talk about O-line coaches. And it's not a bit. I'm kind of exhausted by it because it's just been such a talking point the last 5 years. But my nightmare for the way that this thing would have gone down, and I hope it's not the case. I hope when they brought Popovich in there, it wasn't, man, I can really fix these guys. Like I'm telling you right now, like I'm telling you, Chris Strausser did not know how to use Titus Howard the right way at tackle. He didn't know how to use Kenyon Green and play to his strengths. And, you know, Shaq Mason, you know, we just got to get Shaq in shape and get him ready to go. I'm hoping that it was a little bit more, okay, this guy sucked, and we've got to get better in this area, and we've got to evaluate this, because I think that's always the fear. I don't necessarily mind keeping an assistant O-line coach around because he's not working as close with the guys as the head offensive line coach. Like it's not going that way. But my fear whenever this happens is you're going into the building, you're talking to the superiors, and you're not telling them, hey, this needs to change. You're basically telling them, I can fix this. And the problem here, and I think this was the theory with the way that these offensive linemen were played, and I think you kind of subscribe to it. I don't want to put words in your mouth, although I don't mind putting words in your mouth. Let's be honest. I'll do that all the time because that's just kind of how I roll. But the point I'm making is it did feel like Kenyon Green was getting more patience because he was a first-round pick, even though D'Amico didn't pick him. Like, it did kind of feel that way. It did kind of feel like Shaq Mason because y'all kind of made it clear that y'all thought he was one of the best guards in the league. And the whole talk at camp was that Shaq Mason's underrated and all this. It did kind of have the feel of, Drew Scruggs is a second-round pick. Patterson was a sixth. So we might as well see what the second-round pick can do, even if it's no competition, even if the sixth-round pick did a decent job. And he kind of ended up going in there anyways. It did kind of feel like there was like some draft status, despite the fact the head coach wasn't the one who put him in there. It almost felt like the GM was trying to validate what was going on. I think you could almost say the same with John Mechie. And I try to dismiss it, but I think you could say the same with John Mechie being a second-round pick. And I hope there's none of this. Like, I hope by now Caserio realizes, okay, I screwed up drafting Kenyon Green when I drafted him. Shaq Mason's definitely not one of the best guards in the league. These guys, fixing them, we're past that. Like, we've gotten past the whole, like, fix these guys. And hopefully that's not the discussion that they had with Popovich.
Yeah, the Popovich decision very much lends itself to, we did not do right by these guys. If these are the guys we're going to have, we ran the wrong type of offense for them. That's what it kind of feels like to me with the decision to make Cole Popovich the offensive line coach. And not only one title, he got another title. He got a double promotion. He's also officially the run game coordinator too. So it felt to me like his candidacy to be the offensive line coach was built on the offense was the wrong offense for these guys. And Popovich is going to help run the type of offense that most of these guys can manage. Because as much as we'd like a 4 or 5 man swap out, they're really not going to swap out that many guys on the offensive line. Like, at most it's 3. It's 3 new interior guys because your tackles are set.
But my question, do you have a non-negotiable though?
What do you mean?
Like, do you have a non-negotiable? Like, man, if they don't do this,
but if they don't cut Shaq Mason, then I'd be lost.
That's it for me. Like that. Like if they try to bring back Shaq Mason and try to make him a starting right guard again, I've lost all hope in everything.
Yeah,
I've lost all hope in everything. He's done. Not he's cooked.
That would be my one is Shaq Mason coming back, but not bringing in somebody else and keeping somebody that was there. And I get that he's, to use an analogy, he's the sous chef. He's not the chef. Like, he's not the one that decides what's on the menu. He's not the one that decides what it looks like on the plate and sends it out. Like, he's the guy that cooks the food that the chef decides. So when he gets the opportunity to be the chef, he's got to tell him, hey, it's not just the wrong food, wrong concept. But we're serving sushi. We should be serving burgers. Like that's what I feel like this offensive change is going to be. Like we ran the wrong offense for this offensive line. We ran the wrong offense in 2024 for CJ Stroud. We ran the wrong offense in 2024 for Joe Mixon. And that's going to be better in 2025 because we have a new offensive coordinator, and he's going to have people in here that can support him in this new direction, this new restaurant that we're opening, so to speak.
And now we go to the skill guys because the offensive line is clearly where we talk. But from the skill guys, you're looking at the draft, you're looking at free agency. We've talked a lot about wide receivers. Is there any way that they think anything of John Mechie or Xavier Hutchinson like that? Surely like that shouldn't factor into their plans at all. Like I almost feel like you can find undrafted free agents that can do a better job than what you've gotten from those guys the first 2 years.
I don't understand why either of those guys would factor heavily into your plans. Like if you feel like I need X number of bodies behind Nico and the two guys we bring in, and they are two of the bodies, and they're going to compete for roster spots 5 and 6 at wide receiver, so be it. But planning for one of those guys to be your main wide receivers,
there's no way they're planning for main. I'm talking 4 or 5.
But I'm talking.
I'm talking 4 or 5.
But like planning for them to count on them in any way would be a fool's errand. Like that's not you should not have that approach. If they go to training camp as one of the 10 guys that can make the roster, so be it. But they should not enter 2025's training camp with a guaranteed roster spot.
I could see Hutch playing his way into the back end of the roster. I could see that. Like I could see that happening. The Mech thing, like we got to stop. We got to stop. It's got to be done.
Can we do just an adjustment here of phrasing? Mechie, definitely a bust. They traded up for him in the second round, identified him. It didn't work out. Even after he was healthy, it didn't work out.
He had a torn ACL when they drafted him.
Hutchinson was a late round pick. If he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. Like
you've gotten 2 years from Hutchinson, that's fine. Like this is what a 6th round pick's supposed to look like. He can go a number of ways.
Yeah.
But the Mechie thing,
traded up for an injured player.
To move on from.
Once he got healthy, he still wasn't a good football player. Like you can't plan for that guy to be a part of your room. And are they going to? I mean, are they going to keep 6 again? Are they going to keep 5? I don't know. They probably need to keep 4 tight ends this year, just because one of them's a net negative in the blocking.
The running back thing is interesting too, because I think if there's a opportunity in the 2nd or 3rd to get a good running back, I think you should do that because you can use that guy as a weapon, and it doesn't necessarily it's not like drafting a back like a guard or a tackle. Like you can use this guy on the football field, and it's almost like a chess move because I think depending on Joe Mixon to do what he did last year, I think it would be malpractice. I think you got to ease that workload. So that's another thing that they're going to have to figure out is the backup running back situation. It's make Dameon Pierce your 3rd or 4th running back and let him return kicks. I'm completely fine with that. But try to find another running back that maybe you could see as a starter eventually, and work that guy in and use him on Sundays as a useful piece, even when Mixon is healthy.
Yeah, Dameon Pierce has.
You don't have to cut Dameon Pierce. People are saying cut. He can be your 3rd or 4th. Like you can do that, and he can be your kick returner.
Dameon Pierce has draft pick protection, just like Scruggs and Kenyon Green did. When you have a 4th rounder play as well as he did in his first year, he kind of gets that little special. Like, well, we had something. We got to keep finding out if we had something. Like it. Despite what we watched in training camp, it became apparent that Dameon Pierce was making the team no matter what.
Yeah.
Like he, especially the way that D'Amico Ryans talked about him, he's the 2 to the 1-2 punch. Like it became apparent he was going to make the team no matter what. Like he was not going to be outplayed for his spot. And then they chose him for over Cam Akers and shipped Cam Akers off for nothing. And Dameon Pierce still on the team. Again, they haven't relied on him at any point in the past 2 seasons. And when he would have had his opportunity to be relied upon, he was also hurt, just like Joe Mixon was. And you can't count on him being a top 2 or 3 option in the running back room. Like, you just can't.
And I think it's going to be interesting when we talk to Nick Caley. It looks like, is it going to be at the combine? Like, is that going to be the first?
I'd have a presser for him. I mean, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we might not get to talk to him till the combine. So,
and that's an if, because I mean, he doesn't have to talk at the combine.
He'll talk. Like, let's be serious. Like, come on. Well, he's gonna talk. Like, that would be nuts. I mean, it's at least off to the side. We'll talk.
Landry and I will chase him down like we're FBI agents.
Just leave the government out of this, okay?
We'll wait outside of hotels with binoculars, trying to see if Nick Caley is indeed
he's gonna talk
in Indianapolis. If he's going to talk to the media,
he's going to talk. Like, there's zero. Like, he is going to talk.
Run up to a man on the street.
It's not any man on the street. It's, hey, Nick, talk to us. But I am intrigued to hear how he answers questions about these specific players, because like there's question that he gets like vague, but like I kind of want to hear how he answers questions about these specific guys. Because there was always, and coaches you take with a grain of salt. They're not always going to tell you everything, but like, is he going to talk about Dameon Pierce the way that Bobby Slowik did? Is he going to talk about Kenyon Green the way that D'Amico and Bobby did? It'll be interesting to hear kind of how he talks about these guys. He's not going to crap on them.
I almost wonder if the perfect approach would be something from, what you call probably the Hardo playbook. Just like, we're evaluating everybody on the roster. We'll figure out how they fit. Like, any question about a particular player, we're evaluating everybody. We're going to figure out how they fit. Never answer about anybody.
What we did last year on offense was not good enough, and we all have to improve in a number of ways, and we have to improve in every area if we want to get where this organization wants to go. Period, point blank, end of story. That is not the type of offense we strive to be. We strive to be one of the best offenses in the league, and we are trying to upgrade this by any means necessary in every position. If that means that guys come in and they improve, that's fine. But what we did last year is not good enough, and that's what I'm here to do.
And then somebody asks about another specific player, and he says the same thing.
Oh, that's his repeat. That's his "I'm here so I'm just here so I don't get fined" kind of moment.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I do want to kind of get a grasp of what he's saying about that. I also want to see where they're going to focus. I think, like, if we're going through the offense right now, and it is SNL, Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. Like, if we're just saying, like, this spot is safe, this spot you feel good about, I would say there's probably six spots that for sure are going to be consumed by players on the roster on offense? 6?
Yes.
Is that right? Nico, Mixon, CJ, Tunsil, Fisher, and Schultz for now. And I think you got to use Schultz differently. Maybe there's a little bit more to tight end. Maybe you find someone in the draft, might be Gunnar Helm from Texas, someone like that. There's going to be some tight end opportunities. Can't wait to talk to him too. Outside of that, like the entire interior, all bets are off. Like, all bets are off when it comes to the entire interior of the offensive line. I want musical chair competition.
I liked Jared Patterson, but if you can improve on Jared Patterson, improve on Jared Patterson. Titus Howard, if you can get somebody that's better than Titus, put him on the bench, trade him in training camp.
I think the biggest make or break for me in like not being able to see a role for him on this team, I think it's Juice Scruggs, because right now they're looking at Juice Scruggs and they clearly look at Juice Scruggs as, and it's, I don't want to say that he's been like evaluated with kitty gloves, but he's kind of been evaluated with kitty gloves. I mean, Nick Caserio said it was just like a no-brainer that he was better at center than guard. And I was like, well, it kind of looks the same. Doesn't look great. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's really bad. It doesn't look great. But like for Jared Patterson, I think Jared Patterson can be on this team for 10 years. Like, even if he's like your backup center / flex guard, like I could easily see, like, I could see two ways going where Jared Patterson is either like develops into like a better player and he's like the starting center for a long time and he gets stronger and he works on all these things, or he ends up being your backup center / guard, like kind of like that backup lineman that you like to have for a long time. Like I could easily see that for Jared Patterson. Blake Fisher, I could see him developing into a long-time tackle. Juice Scruggs for me, like all right, let me put a gun to your head, imaginary gun to your head, okay?
Oh, okay.
Okay, you have a gun to your head right now, and I want you to rub your crystal ball, and I want you to predict the future 2 years from now. And I want you to tell me which one you have to bet your life on this. And I want the chat to participate too. I want y'all to play along with this. Juice Scruggs is either a solid starter on the offensive line that you feel great about, or his contract expires and we never see him inside of the NRG building again. Go.
The latter.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's really like when we talk about like make or break, like it's very much a make or break time for Juice Scruggs. First of all, we don't know what effing position he plays. Second of all, like the drop off from him to the guy that was drafted in the 6th round in that same draft, some people think is not even much of a drop off. And we don't know if he's really that good of a guard. So that's another thing.
And he gets hurt all the time.
Close eye on. Yes.
And he gets hurt all the time.
Yeah. So the Juice Scruggs thing is something to keep an eye on too. I think it's possible that we look at Juice Scruggs the final 2 years as kind of like a reserve lineman too. Just be hot and ready and be ready to go in at guard or center, wherever the hell you're needed if someone gets hurt.
Dang. Quentin hit him with a Juice Sharping.
I mean, let's be serious. Sharping was a 2nd round pick, wasn't he? 2nd or 3rd?
He was 2nd round pick. He was back-to-back picks. They picked Sharping and Lonnie Johnson.
Yeah, Lonnie Johnson, and then they picked Sharping. Yes.
And everybody loved that draft from Brian Gain.
Yeah, it's the same vibe. That's the thing about the Juice Scruggs. That's what I think is crazy. Like when you put it that way, it's kind of interesting to think about. And then Kenyon Green, I don't know. Like Kenyon Green might just not be able to play. Like he might just need to change the scenery. But everything that it's not like there's a maturity issue. It's not like he hasn't improved like body wise. It's not anything like that. I would be. I'm almost to the point where if you gave me a betting odds. Like a bet US betting odds, and you told me, all right, more likely to start at guard for the Texans next year, if I could get good value, I might bet on Kenyon Green over Juice Scruggs.
I don't think Kenyon Green's going to be on this team.
Well, but I don't know. I'm talking about starting at guard. I don't think he is either.
Yeah, I'm not betting on Kenyon Green ever.
I'm getting like plus 1,200. Still
not betting. I'll drop my dollar on a safety overtime parlay for this Sunday.
The Juice Scruggs thing, man. He almost gets a free pass.
Well,
he almost gets a free pass with the way that we talk about him. Like it's almost like we're so focused on Tunsil's penalties, Titus Howard just being Titus Howard, Shaq Mason being awful.
And they thought that Shaq Mason coming off of us.
And Juice Scruggs is the most frustrating because Titus Howard's never playing tackle again for you in a perfect world. Kenyon Green might not even be on your team moving forward. We think Shaq Mason is done. And you hope Juice Scruggs, he's still got 2 years on his rookie deal that he can develop into something, but it feels kind of lost.
And they showed us and thought that he was not as good as hasn't played for a month coming off a knee injury, Shaq Mason.
Yeah. That's the other thing. That's how much they thought of Juice Scruggs.
Yeah.
And Patterson. And they just kind of shuffled that. So who knows? And that goes back to reason number 1, offensive line evaluation. Maybe that changes. Maybe Popovich comes in there and
I don't know. I don't know. He was here in 2023, so he helped them put together the offensive line too.
Did he? How much of a voice do you think he had?
Well, he ain't silent. Like he's complicit in this.
I don't know if he's a complicit guy.
Like if the Texans' offensive line operation was a bank robbery. He didn't go inside the bank with a gun. He maybe didn't even drive the getaway car, but he definitely helped them get supplies.
I don't know. He's not a complicit guy, man.
Wow. Okay, he's just getting a free. We're talking about free passes. Cole Popovich is getting the Landry Locker free pass of the week.
No. They're giving him the free pass because they gave him not only the new job, but the upgrade. And the other thing is this, and this is the other thing that I think we need to think about with this thing. That was, I think a lot of times, and I want to make this very clear, and I think this is like with Gerard Johnson, I don't know that I can say this. I don't know that I can say this with Gerard Johnson. I don't know that I can say this with a lot of the staff. But a lot of times whenever someone remains from the previous staff who and they stay on with the new coordinator or whatever, a lot of times it's because the organization makes them. Like it's like, hey, organization says, hey, you got to take this job, but just so you know, your quarterback coach is going to be this guy, or your DB coach is going to be this guy, or this is going to be your coach in waiting. He's going to call the offense. I 100% believe that the Popovich thing, that's a Nick Caley decision. That they know each other. So the Popovich thing is not so like that's so if that doesn't work, you can blame Nick Caley. I don't know where you go with the other guys, but it's not like he was under contract. Aaron's kind of said that Popovich's contract was going to expire. So if Popovich doesn't work out, it's going to be natural to say, okay, Caserio, okay, D'Amico. But I think that is 100,000% a Nick Caley decision. And that might be another question to ask Caley, like, what went into keeping some remaining guys from the staff?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's one of the top things that I want to know from him is why guys that were around when it stunk get to keep their job.
I want you to word it just like that.
Hey, new guy. All right. Do Caley's hats fit? Have we seen any pictures of him with hats?
Dude, and the craziest thing, and this is going to be the most hilarious moment ever at the combine. If Popovich is there, oh God, Cody, geez, this guy's going to be. Cody might try to get a 1 hour sit down with him like he's a damn president.
Cole Popovich?
Yeah, you with O-line coaches? Good God.
Well, I would like to talk to him, yes, because I need to know what he was in charge of and what he's not in charge of. Like, you're the one giving him the free pass. Yeah. No,
I didn't give him a free pass. They gave him the free pass, and Nick Caley said that he was going to hire him.
I got lots of questions for Cole Popovich.
Here's the other element of this that I kind of want to ask. Are we going to have any contract drama with Laramie Tunsil?
How?
How many years are left there, sir?
What contract drama would
I'm asking, like, how many years are left there, sir?
He has 2 years left.
Okay, so we got 2. Okay, so we're not in the trying to get a new deal yet. We're good.
So
We're okay.
I mean, if they approach him to it now, here's the one thing that you do have to consider. They might approach him to change his salary and change the contract to create a bunch of space to do something, but that just means he's here for longer.
Yeah, I'm soon as they're I'm gonna sense a Laramie Tunsil proactive contract situation.
Well, coming off a Pro Bowl year and individual season that he had, it might be a good time for him to try to go to the table. But at the same time, I mean, he needs to get in under the buzzer before they start talking to Will Anderson and CJ Stroud and get the Stingley money on the books.
No, he doesn't. You already got your future left tackle.
Well, I'm just saying for Laramie, if he wants that new contract here, he needs to get in under the buzzer before those guys. You want to just move Fisher over there to left tackle?
Yeah, eventually. We'll get there. I'm telling you, man. And this is my prediction. This previous draft group, when they walk in that building, OTAs and especially at camp, you're almost going to have to call the Balco Lab because they are going to be jacked. This is a group. You saw it with Stingley too. Like whenever there's just like all business dogs, you didn't see it with Kenyon Green year two. You kind of saw it like, and that was the most troubling thing for me with Kenyon Green was that he really wasn't that much in shape from year 1 to 2, really. And it took till year 3. But a lot of times, like you see the guys like Cade Stover is going to look, I mean, he might have to go up a jersey size. Blake Fisher, he's going to be huge. Lassiter is going to be on the Stingley workout plan. Whatever the hell Stingley did, he's going to do that. Kalen Bullock, he's still going to be lanky, but he's going to be jacked. He's going to have like that little arm thing. He's going to roll his sleeves up a little bit higher. Like
that little arm thing.
Yeah, the little like arm, like the little try-by, like right there. It's going to be like popping out a little bit.
The word you're looking for is a striation. Yeah,
striation. He's going to have that going. I think Hutchinson might be a little bit more jacked too. He kind of put on some weight, but he's a third-year guy. But these guys are going to come in jacked, dude. I'm telling you right now, they're going to be jacked. Arm thing. You think I know?
How do I know it?
I don't know. I feel like you know a lot about fitness. You just don't really
practice it. You're correct about that. I have read a lot, and I have not put a lot of it into practice.
I don't know. I was just trying to get you there. Yeah, the arm thing.
The striation.
Striation.
Yeah. So you hear that term a lot in bodybuilding. Oh, look at the striations.
Striation. They come in jacked for sure.
Yeah. Stover going to come in looking like 2001 Goldberg.
Yeah.
Bald head, yoked.
SSG saying that was a meat watching moment because of how they look in their pads. I think you might be telling on yourself there, brother. Like that's you. I was very much above the waist. I was right here, my friend. That's kind of the opposite. Jacked, jersey size, all that. You're talking meat, man. I need to go get you something. SSG on that carnivore diet.
You could, I think Blake Fisher could probably use a few more LBs.
Oh, he's gonna be lifting weights like crazy.
Yeah,
he's gonna be lifting weights like crazy. And I'm kind of intrigued to see if Titus comes to camp in shape. I think this has been a rude awakening for Titus last year. Very rude awakening.
Oh, no doubt. The whole right tackle for the Houston Texans thing's gone.
You got to get rid of Twitter. You're not a right tackle. Like it's been a interesting time for Titus Howard. So we'll see how this goes. It's going to be fun.
No belief that Shaq could get it going?
No, he's gone. He's washed. I told you he was washed last camp.
No belief that you put the was it Matt or Ryan Khalil? I don't remember.
It's the Matt Khalil.
Yeah, you put the Matt Khalil on him.
Yep. Just like I put it on Justin Britt when he came back for the second year.
That was
the worst. He looked worse than Khalil.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
You know he's like a long distance runner now?
Yeah, he just needed to quit playing football.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
get kind of cooked. He was a good dude, but he was just cooked, man.
I don't know why I remember this, but he did like fill-in DJ stints at like the metal station in Seattle.
Yeah, he had some interesting like interviews. I think he interviewed Posty before he got like real big time. Yeah.
Interesting.
So we'll see how it goes. It'll be fun. Offense, not fun last year.
Blame game. To be talking about Justin Britt today, but here we are.
Well, washed up offensive lineman, localized. It's not, that's why people
You remember Brino Giacomini?
Dude, I remember Seth Payne used to always get so like irrationally pissed off in like the most amusing way about Giacomini. And it was so funny because he would just get like legit like Seth Payne pissed off because Giacomini would get his ass kicked on plays, and then he would always want to fight at the end, and it always pissed Seth off because he's getting his ass whooped during the play, and then he's like trying to fight. He's like, he just thought it was the most fake tough guy thing in the world. Not because you're like after the whistle trying to fight, but because it's always after you got your ass kicked.
Yes. And my favorite part was when they signed him, everybody thought he was Italian, and then we all found out he was Brazilian.
Yeah, they've had some crappy linemen. It's been a tradition like no other, the crappy linemen.
This all goes back to Dwayne Brown being mad that he wasn't on season tickets and wanting to get traded. But the other butterfly effect that people don't remember is Von Miller and Derek Newton on Monday Night Football when Derek Newton tore both his patellar tendons on the same play. And then the Texans were in offensive line chaos for like the next 4 years. It's like Derek Newton was 7th round pick, got in a second contract, was probably headed for a third contract, very serviceable, and then never played football again after Von Miller got him on that one play.
You know what's really weird about this offseason for the Texans? And it is SNL. We appreciate everyone in the chat. We appreciate everyone. Be sure to subscribe to SNL. It's popping. It's thriving. Locker room as well at 10:30 and Cody's channel. We're doing our thing. We'll be at the Combine. We got you covered here. Localized. No days off, baby. But it's kind of weird because it's almost like it's symbolic of the entire, like, if you just took the large body of work of the Texans franchise and where they've been, like, it's almost like a mirror image of like big dilemmas. So you have trying to get to the AFC Championship game, just not thriving in a crappy division. You're there. Really good defense when you're playing good, but the offense doesn't quite line up to the defense. You have that. You have a number one wide receiver, and you want to try to complement that number one wide receiver. You have that. It was Andre Johnson forever, and then it was DeAndre Hopkins with Will Fuller. And when you have a quarterback, the offensive line is not putting you in the best position. It's like a complete mirror image of what we've become used to when it comes to the Texans. Like, it's just everything in one, but it sounds like a lot, but it really just doesn't seem like a lot, because as much as I talk about CJ and not living up to the high expectations that I had for him last year, just because that I'm going to keep those, he can elevate his play so much. Like, it's not surprising to think that CJ is like a top 5 MVP candidate next year. Like, it's not crazy. Nico's Nico. Joe Mixon does his thing. And the assets that you have, like, they're laid out to where you can figure it out. And the other side of the ball, you're talking like all pro caliber, like all elite, all pro talent all over the place on defense, which can overcome like even like the biggest hiccups on offense. So that's what's exciting about this. Is a lot of times when you list a bunch of shit and you're like, they got to figure this out. It's really like something that they can figure out. And there's a lot of things that they have that can kind of overcome and elevate any shortcomings they may have.
Certainly. And we'll have to see what all they can overcome in this entire offseason, because there's quite a bit in front of them.
And the wide receiver is interesting. I talked about this today. Like, you're drafting in the 20s, and the names of guys that have been drafted in that range at 25. 2018, DJ Moore, 24th overall. Calvin Ridley, 26th overall. 2019, Hollywood Brown, 25. Didn't work out according to plan. 2020, Jalen Reagor, 21. Justin Jefferson, 22. Brandon Ayuk, 25. 2021, Kadarius Toney, didn't work out. 2023, JSN, 20. Quentin Johnston, 21. Zay Flowers, 22. Jordan Addison, 23. And then last year, 2024, Brian Thomas, 23 overall. So you can find impact guys in that range, kind of in that range. And the last time they drafted a wide receiver in the first round was 2016. That was Will Fuller when they were trying to kind of get Hop, his number 2 guy. So those are all like the big names that have gone in that range. since they last drafted someone at wide receiver in that position. So
a visual reference for the folks.
Yeah. So I would take really any of those guys except Rager, Kadarius Toney, and that's it. And Johnston. Probably don't want
Johnston's
that.
really bad.
Yeah, don't want Johnston, don't want Toney, don't want Rager, but I could even deal with a Hollywood, to be honest with you. In this situation, I could deal with a Hollywood Brown. You can do a lot worse.
I do wonder if Hollywood's career is vastly different if he goes to an organization that throws the ball instead of the Ravens.
Yep. You could do what you could do with any of that.
Like if you dropped Hollywood Brown onto Sean McVay's Rams or Russell Wilson's Seahawks, like it's a little different than starting the career with the Ravens.
Yep. That's a fact.
So,
but it's a fun spot to be in. I did a video today on Ibuka if you want to check it out. It's early in the process. I think we got to at least wait till the combine to see the measurables before we just start pounding the table for receivers. But either he really sucks or he's the guy that you must have. I don't see any middle ground with Ibuka when it comes to draft opinions.
Yeah, there's not anybody that's just kind of like okay on him. They like think he's actually way better than you think, or they think he's way worse than you think. Byron asks a question, and it's our great mystery, man. I am going to do everything I can to figure out what happened to Will Fuller.
I could see Will Fuller just chilling like in like a random ass neighborhood, like as a beach bum. Like he was, I could see him on the Jersey Shore, just like living his life, chilling, wanting nothing to do with anyone. Neighbors don't even talk to him.
Everyone, he just waves when he picks his trash can up. It's like,
might go body surf or something.
Yeah. Might even be a fixture at a local watering hole right there on the beach. It's like, oh hey, there's Will. I didn't know Will played in the NFL.
Wait, what? He was good?
He was, he used to be really.
Look at these highlights.
He randomly races somebody every now and then for like $50.
Will was nuts, man.
Yeah, Will Fuller.
Who knows where he's at? We got to figure him out. We got to track him down.
That or the steroids thing was just the beginning, and now he's like a bodybuilder, and he's just like,
the alleged PEDs.
Yeah, it wasn't alleged. He got suspended for him.
I think he had some bad meat in Mexico, but whatever you say.
That actually worked for Dwayne Brown.
He's the one guy who got it.
Yeah.
He's the one guy. Brian Cushing tried every trick in the book.
He didn't try tainted meat in Mexico.
He didn't try the tainted meat. Dwayne Brown is the one guy who beat the NFL system in the PEDs. Legendary performance by Dwayne.
I was told that he was mad that the Texans didn't believe him when he initially said that.
Yeah, he hated Rick Smith.
That's what people always dump the Dwayne Brown thing onto Bill O'Brien. It was Rick Smith and Dwayne Brown that didn't get along at the end.
It wasn't even Bob McNair. He turned it into Bob McNair, I think, but like after a while, because I think it kind of helped him like force his way out. But it's literally on a podcast. Like he said that he always liked the organization, but he had an issue with Rick Smith. That was like he went on record saying that. Yeah, that was kind of Dwayne. But yeah, damn, we've covered all the quota. I think we can mention like, do we need to mention Eric Winston? We mentioned every effing old school.
Well, former Pro Bowl left guard Wade Smith and former Pro Bowl center Chris Myers, just to round it all out there.
Chris Myers is skinny as hell now.
Chris Myers coaching, I believe, up there in the Philly area.
He's living his best life, man. Living his best life. Yep. All right, appreciate y'all for coming through. The offense, what shall they do? Who do you blame? Do you have a problem with all these lingering assistants? Shout out to James Franco. Always remember, when it comes to these Texans, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.